In tonight's Top Gear, the Mick Jagger of supercars. Our quest goes on to find Britain's fastest faith. And the Stig sorts out TVR's new coupe. Hello and a big Yuletide welcome to our festive edition of Top Gear. As you can see, we spared every expense. We've got a Christmas twig and some oranges and some nuts. And, oh, there's a bauble. No, I tell you what, let's just forget about Christmas, shall we? Let's talk about big, shiny 4x4s. Now, they tend to be bought predominantly by people who live in towns, so that when they go to the countryside, they think they'll blend. Really? This is the countryside. It's a brown and gnarled place, much like the people who live in it. And these are the cars that rural people drive. Willington boots with wheels. Muddy, broken things that are held together with straw and dead pheasants. It's hard to blend here, unless you live here. This is my off-road car. It's a Toyota Land Cruiser Amazon. And it's built to take on Africa and Australia, so it has no problem at all taking my children to school in the morning in Oxfordshire. It has 7 seats, rough and tumble fixtures and fittings, and there's a sense of invincibility about it. When you drive this down a narrow road, it's the other guy who backs up. Now, you could use the Land Cruiser for a day's shooting, but I don't recommend it. It's not that it doesn't work off-road, it does, it's brilliant. It just doesn't fit in with the scene somehow. You see, shooting is a traditional sport where the winner gets supper and the loser goes hungry. There's just you and your piece and the stillness of the trees. Smoke curls from an autumnal fire. A gentle rain softens the edges. And in this traditional scene, the Land Cruiser's just too chintzy somehow. I mean, look, that is green, and that's Toyota's idea of green. It just doesn't work. The BMW X5 is also hopeless, but for a different reason. Yes, it's big, and yes, it has four-wheel drive, but that's the end of the story. It doesn't even have off-road tyres, and that's like coming out here in a pair of Jimmy Choo pumps. This car is Milli Vanilli. Looks good on paper, but actually, it's just miming. On even the gentlest of tracks, it gets stuck, and the beater will drive by in his old Land Rover, laughing at you. Even if you are the Marquis of Blandford.
Was that not perfect?
And how much is that Land Rover worth? 30 quid? OK, now I'll be fair. £200 worth. And that's, well, £50,000 worth, and it's stuck.
That's right.
Which is yours?
Trooper.
Trooper.
Trooper come by?
Might, yeah.
The really strange thing is that Land Rover is exactly the same age as me, and it's the only thing that's got up this... I couldn't get up this hill. It's lasted better than I have.
Still went further than the BMW anyway.
Yeah, you've beaten the BMW by 30 feet.
Oh, wow, that's 30 feet less to walk.
Exactly. So what about the Jeep Grand Cherokee? Surprisingly, for an American car, it's quite restrained. It does blend into the Oxfordshire backdrop. And it is good at dealing with the rough stuff. But Good though it may be out here, it does have one or two problems. It's quite agricultural feeling. I don't really mind that. I mean, it is an off-road car. What I do mind is the ruching on the leather seats and this hideous fake plastic wood. It's also nowhere near as big on the inside as you would imagine looking at it from the outside. But the worst thing about this, the worst thing, is that you've always got the sense that you've bought second best. The new Range Rover is £20,000 more than a Jeep. These days it's more a luxury yacht than a car. But don't worry, it can still play rough. Okay, look at this. I flick this switch here to engage the hill descent control, put it into neutral, engage low range, back into drive, and now I just point it at this seemingly impossible slope here. And now I'm going to do something you might think is mad. I'm going to take my foot off the brake, okay? That's astonishing. I can feel the anti-lock brakes grabbing each of the wheels in turn, making sure that we stay straight and that we continue to do a walking pace all the way down the hill. Now, of course, the X5 can do that as well. The X5 also has a hill descent control. It's something BMW stole while they were running Rover. But what the X5 can't do is turn around and go back up the slope. See, it doesn't have a low-range gearbox. It doesn't have locking diffs. It doesn't have this thing's ground clearance or wheel articulation. It's not a proper off-road car. And this just is. There's something else too. A Range Rover looks good outside the Savoy, but it looks even better out here. Now, there was a time when Range Rovers were king off the road, and they still have an air of invincibility about them. But believe me, you can still get these things stuck. Really stuck. See what I mean? First to try and get it going was Lord Blandford. Well, it was his garden. He, however, made things worse, so next to try was one of the locals. But his pickup ended up in the lake. I then decided to fetch my Land Cruiser, but in my haste to get there, I skidded off the track and ended up in a wood. The thing is, if those saplings hadn't have been there, I would be very, very wet. Well, so how do we get it out? Anyone got any thoughts? Why are you laughing at me?
What did you say to me this morning? This truck goes anywhere, you said.
It does go anywhere. Look, it's come here. While we took a chainsaw to the trees that were holding the Toyota in place, a tractor turned up to get the Range Rover out. But even that was having problems. This is the trouble with filming in the countryside. There's too much mud in it. Eventually, though, all the cars were freed and we could get back to the business of explaining why the Range Rover is so good. Look at this, great slabs of real sturdy timber here and down the sides, and hand-stitched leather, and this foundry finish. It's the best interior on any car anywhere ever, easily. It's like being in the middle of a field in a trendy restaurant in Notting Hill. Except here, of course, the produce is fresher. So, there we are. If you really want to get about off-road, get something old and knackered with narrow, knobbly tyres. If, however, you want something for the weekend, all the cars are equal. But one is more equal than the others.
So the only car not to get stuck there, then, was the Jeep?
No, it got stuck as well.
Well, we didn't see it.
No, because the cameraman was driving it when it got stuck.
Yeah, that would have done it.
Yeah.
So the Range Rover emerged, you reckon, as the best of all of those, despite being, what, 20 grand more than the Jeep?
Yes, I know, but the attention to detail on this thing is just amazing. Let me show you, OK? The steering wheel, OK? It's heated. You push that button there and it warms up. And, even better, there's a little paraffin heater down in one of the front wheel arches, OK? And you can program it on the computer here to come on, say, at 6 o'clock if you're leaving for work at 7. So when you get in, it's nice and warm in here. And I fear this may be the most boring sentence ever to be said on British television, but it used to have a separate chassis, now it's a monocoque.
Yeah, and you know exactly what that means, I presume.
Means it's less wobbly.
OK, but all this clever stuff, that's great, assuming it works, because Range Rovers have not enjoyed the best of reputations. I did some phoning around and looked into this. They did suffer a few problems. I mean, it was with stuff like the paintwork, interior trim, a bit rattly, engines, they could be a problem.
Yeah, the 4-litre.
And the 4.6, actually.
And the diesel.
All the engines.
Yeah.
Gearboxes could be an issue.
Automatics.
And the manuals.
And the manuals, yeah.
Transfer boxes,
Yeah.
the suspension, actually, as well.
Yeah.
And all of the electronics.
Yeah.
All of it, you know.
Yeah. I did actually have a word with Land Rover about their reliability issue on this car, and they said, no, this one's built properly. So I said, OK, right, lend us one for 6 months. And they've agreed. And if anything falls off, or melts, or breaks, in any way, we can murder the managing director's dog.
That's fair.
In front of his children.
That's so fair.
No, really, if this, for instance, gets a little bit loose, a little bit wobbly, Frisky buys the farm.
Right, it's time now to look back on 2002 and announce our Car of the Year.
OK, and the nominations are the Range Rover. We've just seen it. It is the king of off-roaders. And the Mazda 6. The Japanese tried to take on the Germans, and they succeed. It's a cracking car and very good value as well. And then there's the Mini Cooper S. It's the trendiest car in the world right now. It's like driving around in a supercharged Parker. And the Audi RS6. It's fast in a straight line, fast round corners, and it's fast even when it's raining.
Right. Have we missed anything? Anybody got any more thoughts that we should have put on the show?
62.
The what?
Maybach 62.
The Maybach 62 is a stupid car. We're coming to that later. Anybody else? The Vauxhall Vectra. The Vauxhall Vectra wouldn't be the best car even if it was launched in 1984. And a really... Jaguar XJ? That was launched this year, was it? Where are you from? Which part of the country? Coventry. They make the damn things there. Have you not noticed them? I'm afraid you're all way wide of the mark. As are, in fact, the official European Car of the Year jury, who voted in recently the Renault Megane. Car of the Year. Only if you do that. So, our Car of the Year is... We've got some gold envelopes. Ready? It's the Range Rover. The judges, and that would be us, were impressed with its mono-thingy chassis, its supplementary heater, and the sheer Range Roveriness of it.
And the next one is for this year's most pointless car.
OK, and the shortlist here is the Mercedes Maybach. It's a private jet that can't take off. And then the Ford Fusion. Don't be fooled by the ads. It is a Ford Fiesta in a hat. And the Rover 75 long wheelbase, suitable only for the Mayor of Preston.
Right. Have we missed anything there or not? SL55 AMG, you think is a pointless... So, let's go to the actual winner, which is... It's the Ford Fusion, everybody! Now, the judges were very impressed with Ford's idleness on this one. They knew that we all liked mini MPVs, they knew they needed to make one, and they couldn't be bothered.
Next up, a very popular category here. It's the weirdest Renault category.
OK. Weirdest Renault of the year, the nominees are as follows. The Velsatis. It's a businessman's car, but only if your business is Enron. The Megane, a family car, but only if your family is the Osbornes. And the Avantime, it's a sporty coupe, but only if you don't want a car that's sporty. Or a coupe.
And the winner, the weirdest Renault of the year is, in true mad Renault style, it's the Nissan Micra. The judges noted that the designer had plainly got too much ink in his pen. Look at it. Stop designing it, man. Step away from the CAD-CAM unit. You've finished. That's enough details on one car.
Now the big one. Our Surely You Don't Need the Money award.
And the winner is Eddie Irvine for promoting this hosepipe here. The man earned £6 million last year, £6 million, but still thought it was a good idea to put his fizzog on this box, which is available in Woolworths for £79.99p.
Now, we were going to make an award at this point for the fastest car around our track, which is the Radical, with an amazing time of 1 minute, 19 seconds.
But it seems that the Germans have been monitoring our broadcasts. And they got in touch, and they said that they've got a couple of cars which they think could blitzkrieg our track. This is the AS1. It's powered by a bike engine, the same Suzuki Hayabusa unit that we saw in the Radical and in the Westfield. It's, where is it? It's gone. Well, wherever it is, they've bored it out to 1.4 litres. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but the AS1 only weighs 600 kilograms. That's the same as my shoes. So, it should go like stink. However, I'm more interested in that. It looks like a normal Audi TT with a few stickers on it. And it has a normal Audi TT engine, 1.8 litres, with a turbocharger. Thing is, though, it's been tweaked a little bit so that it now develops 400 brake horsepower. And that's the same as a Ferrari 360. Now, in a normal TT, the engine drives all four wheels. But in this, the engine drives the front wheels. The rear wheels are driven by a little something in the boot. Another 400 horsepower engine. It's got two engines, 800 horsepower. Obviously, they have to have a go. That hurts. Let's see how it handles. Corners are best taken with your eyes shut. That's my tip. Two engines. It's ridiculous. Twice the fuel bills. But, must be said, twice the fun. Great. But these cars must now face the acid test. Bitte willkommen Sie. Das Stig. And it's the AS1 first, but it's got no stereo, so the Stig's in a bad mood. Now, it may not look fast, but it's got hardly any body roll at all. Just look how flat it stays through the hammerhead. Right, we're coming up to the tyres now. Boy, that is so fast. Bit of flame there on the overrun as it comes up to the last two corners. Bit twitchy there, but he holds it into the last one and across the line. Next, the mighty double-engine TT, which is fast on the straights but not so good in the corners. And yet again, no stereo. The Stig's going to be very cross as he comes into the hammerhead. Lost the radiator grill by the looks of things. A big burst of flame there as he comes into the final corner, and he's really earned his Christmas bone.
Well done, the Germans. That was a very good effort. So, the times. Here is our power car lap time board. And at the top, there's the British Radical with an amazing 1 minute 19. Very good car. So let's see how the Germans did, OK? First of all, the MTM Bimoto with its two engines, all very clever stuff from the Germans. Time was 5-1.
No.
No, that's not it. That's a score.
What made it just a score? It's 1945.
1966. No, that's wrong again. It's actually 1 minute 28, which is very, very good. That puts it faster than a Lamborghini and about 9 seconds slower than the British Radical.
There we are. So what about the AS1?
Well, very clever little car again from the Germans. That managed it in an impressive 1 minute 29.
Oh, dear.
Which is a very commendable effort.
Oh, dear.
Not as quick as the British Radical, which remains as the fastest car of the series at 1 minute 19.
Great news. OK, now, a couple of weeks ago, we had a race on our track to find Britain's fastest faith, and it was won by the Church of England. Trouble is, no Muslim took part, because when we filmed the item, it was Ramadan. And during Ramadan, Muslims are forbidden from eating or taking part in any form of motorsport. However, I'm delighted to say that Ramadan is now over. So, we have a Muslim in the Top Gear base. And not just a Muslim, we also have a Druid and a Rastafarian and a Seventh-day Adventist. Welcome to you all. Now, you are enormous. Frankly. What's your name?
Pastor Gary Gordon.
Pastor Gary Gordon, good. And you live where?
Oxford.
And what do you normally drive?
Peugeot 1.9 diesel.
Did you have any idea what you were supposed to be doing today?
Some idea, yeah.
Well, you wouldn't have been getting much practice in your Peugeot diesel, that's for sure. OK, so you are, well, a Rastafarian, as a guess.
Absolutely, yes.
Good. And what's your name?
Olivier.
What do you drive?
Work-wise, I drive a Mondeo diesel.
Right, another diesel
It
engine.
is interesting as the Peugeot.
Yeah. Do you do any motorsport?
I have dabbled, yes, this season. I've been in the British Rally Championships.
Oh, really?
Only in a showroom class polo, but...
It doesn't matter, you've been doing some serious motorsport.
Left-hand drive and...
You've had it. You've all had it. You've all had it. It's like the C of E guy. He did a bit on the side, albeit in an MG, but he did a bit on the side.
Right.
And you, well, what's your name?
My name's Arthur Pendragon.
Arthur what, King Arthur?
That's the one.
I thought he was a fictional character.
No, I'm not fictional, and nor's me sword.
Oh, right. OK, finally, at the end, you are...
Tariq Nassim,
Tariq Nassim, and you live where?
West Sussex.
And you drive what?
I've got Skoda RS.
A Skoda RS, quick car. Mind you, there is a little note I've got here that you once took it to Paris, but you misread the speed signs.
I did.
You thought 130 kilometres an hour was miles an hour. Brilliant. OK, well, we're going to find out how you did on the track, what you did this morning. Plainly, you've kept the car in one piece, which is more than can be said for the bishop who came here a couple of weeks ago.
Never trust a bishop.
No, exactly. And you, keep off the grass. And we'll see how you get on a little bit later.
Over the past few weeks, we've been telling you about some cracking deals on new cars. Remember the Volkswagen Passat for under 11 grand? Or the Fiat Stilo for 7,995? Or best of all, a Ford car for 4,995. I'll tell you, it's never been cheaper or easier to buy a new car. And the net effect of that is it's killing the value of second-hand ones. In fact, at the bottom end of the market, something like this, they're practically giving them away. Here we are, first car of the day, little Citroën AX.
It's got less than 40,000 miles on the clock, but because it's 7 years old, I can buy this car for around £1,300.
Now, this is a Citroën AX Elation. It's a limited edition. It's based on the debut, so it's got the 1-litre engine, which means it's cheap to insure, but you also get a sunroof and you get metallic paint. And you know when you look inside, it's going to be nice. Yeah, look at that. All the stereo, all the bits and pieces you'd expect. And it's only done 39,000 miles. This car's not even halfway through its life.
A couple of years ago, an AX of that age and mileage would have cost you £2,000, so it's a steal. Next, I looked for a family car and found this Nissan Primera for under £1,000.
You get power steering, get electric windows, you even get a factory sunroof. OK, it's done 98,000 miles, but it's going to be good for at least another 40,000 miles.
And you won't be investing in some weather-beaten banger either. A careful check of the paintwork shows there's no telltale signs of accident damage repair. The electric windows work fine, as does the tilt and slide sunroof. And when you rev the engine from cold, there's no nasty knocks or rattles.
So all this for £1,000 seems like a good deal to me.
But just how low can you go and still get some working wheels? This man, Martin Gurdon, wouldn't even spend £200 on a car. This Nissan 300C cost him £100. It's got 135,000 miles on the clock, but so far it's given him a year's trouble-free motoring.
With a car like this, you need things like a strong battery,
Right.
decent plug leads, decent plugs.
Right.
The electrical problems tend to be the bugbear of
Right.
old, cheap cars. People
Yeah.
are skimped on maintenance.
Yeah.
And you'll find that a simple car like this will be intrinsically reliable if you look after it.
I mean, obviously, you're a convert to this kind of motoring.
I just think it's hilariously funny. Why get a car with hire purchase and then watch it depreciate?
Sure.
I mean, all right, it's not something which is going to impress, but with a little bit of thought, it can be just as reliable as something which is 10, 12 years younger. And, you know, if somebody stuffs it or it gets nicked or
Yeah.
it breaks in a big way, well, I throw it away and buy another one.
You do need to know what you're doing if you're going in for £100 motoring, but a little bit more will still get you a decent car. This Vauxhall Astra CDI, it's got power steering, electric mirrors, and you even get a factory sunroof.
Look at this. £450, and that's from a dealer. If you're brave and went to an auction, you might get it even cheaper. But it's not an old nail. It's done 90,000 miles, it's got some service history and a new MOT. Plenty of life left in this.
One reason why you can pick up cars like this so cheaply is that they've got time bombs in them. By time bombs, I mean something that if it goes wrong, it'll cost you more than the car's worth to repair. Modern cars have onboard computers, and if they crash, you've had it. You'd be better off scrapping the car.
Some experts would say, avoid these time bombs. But think about it. Go in with your eyes wide open, run a car like this for maybe a year or two. It's cheap motoring. And when it does go bang, don't cry. Chuck it away and get another one.
But Jason, that Astra, it was horrible.
It was £450.
Yeah, true.
£450. Listen, I got a 13-year-old Volvo. It's done 160,000 miles. I paid £900 for it. I've just put it through another MOT. When it goes pop, I'll just chuck it away.
Yeah, but you're not going to pull in any of these cars, are you?
I don't care. £450 for an Astra. That's what you pay for a service on a new car.
True.
Right. You can get through Christmas without an Astra, but you can't get through without a spot of Bond. So here goes.
You ever got the feeling somebody doesn't like you?
Did you see that?
What?
That fish.
Yes.
How did the fish get into the car without Barbara Back and Roger Moore drowning?
Good point, actually.
You see, I notice these things in films. The hole's big enough for a fish to go in.
Water.
Water, lots of it. Yeah. Anyway, the point is, we showed that clip because we wanted to demonstrate just how old the Lotus Esprit is. 27 years. It's a quarter as old as the motor car itself. And if you think about it, it was launched at a time when kipper tyres were popular.
I did wonder about these.
Yes, no, there's a very good reason for it. Kipper tyres, it went through that. It went through this one, 70s tie.
Yes.
It did the Reckless Eric. It did the Elvis Costello. And it's still going strong in today's Windsor Knot.
Interesting analogy.
I know, it's brilliant. And I can't think of anything else from 1975 which looks even half as good as this does today.
Me close, don't let me go. Oh no. Yes, I love you, and I think that you know. Do you know with your love?
Just about the only thing that's 70s about a Lotus Esprit today is the price. At £50,000, it's half as much as a Ferrari 360. But don't think it's half the car. It's kept up with the game by constantly reinventing itself. So today, instead of a 2.2-litre four-cylinder engine, it's got a 3.5-litre V8 with a couple of turbos. Old-timer it may be, but it can still put its fingers in its belt buckles and headbang like when it was a teenager. And it's not like watching your father dance either. It's quite good at it. The Esprit offers 266 brake horsepower per tonne, and that's more than you get from a Mercedes SL55 or a Porsche 911 or even a Ferrari 456. This is like North Korea, small, but with a big punch. What this means is that it'll do 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. Flat out, it'll hit 175 miles an hour. It's still a very, very fast car. And not just in a straight line either. Through the corners, it feels absolutely sublime. There's a hint of understeer to let you know you're getting near the edge, and then if you keep on pushing, a glorious adrenaline rush as the tail slides wide. It is beautifully balanced. The one area where they really can't hide its age is in here. You have to remember, this car is from a time when man was living in trees. Hadn't really learned to walk upright, so you get a very simian driving position. Over the years, they've tried to improve it with a selection of different dashboards and different seats, but that's like rearranging the furniture in a small flat. It's still a small flat. A lack of space, though, is nothing compared to this car's real Achilles heel. Its gearbox. Changing gear in a car like this should be like stroking a recently washed dog. But in this, it's like stroking a crocodile. It's all notchy and scaly and ugh. It's hopeless. Almost ruins the whole car. Almost, but not quite. The fact is, I'm hugely fond of the Esprit. Always have been, and I always will be.
So you love the Esprit, great. Thing is, for how long?
That's the big issue, because the gearbox, the thing that actually spoils it, is likely to be the thing that kills it, because they got it out of a Renault 25. Renault stopped making that years and years ago, and they're basically running out.
And the problem is, they can't just make their own gearbox to put on the engine, because, well, I mean, how many did they sell a year?
Half.
Exactly. It's going to cost about £1 million. It won't
know.
work. And if that kills it, that's a real shame. Because if you ask anybody of our sorts of ages to draw a supercar, that is what they'll draw.
I know, it is the perfect supercar shape. Do you know why? It's got pop-up headlamps.
Yep. I love pop-up headlamps.
When I was a kid, all I wanted was a car with pop-up...
Anything, as long as it did
a car
that.
with pop-up... And do you know how many cars are made today with pop-up headlamps? This and one other. Anyone want to guess what it is? RX-7? RX-7's not made today. MX-5 doesn't have pop-up headlamps anymore. Porsches don't do pop-up headlamps. What?
Huh?
The Ferrari 456. He's got it, man, from Coventry. He doesn't know when to...
But
well done, it's the Ferrari 456 is the only other one. I think we should have more pop-up headlamps.
Why don't they? Where have they gone and why?
They say, this is great, they say it affects the aerodynamics.
Well, you shouldn't be driving that fast at night anyway.
Exactly.
So leave them as they are.
Bring them back. Anyway, we've still got one thing left to do with this car, of course. Unfurl the Stig. When we asked the Stig to drive the Esprit, huffed and puffed and stomped about saying he didn't like Lotuses very much. I asked him why, but he just stomped about a bit more. The only way we could get him inside was by buying him a Moody Blues CD.
Nights in white satin, never reaching the end.
The thing about the Esprit is that it's not just fast in a straight line, it's also balanced in the corners. Look at that. The only thing that lets it down, really, is the brakes. Not that he's using them. Look at this. For the first time in 6 weeks, the track is dry. And he's coming round the last corner now, beautifully held together, beautifully poised, and all across the line.
Right, the time is, ready?
Yeah.
1 minute 32, which is...
32? That's quicker than my car, look.
That's a very, very good time. Well, it's quicker than a whole load of serious stuff. There it goes.
And the thing was, it was a dry track out there, but it was minus 426 degrees.
At least.
So it was quite slippery.
Chilly.
Now, that's... we should rejoice in. That's amazing time, actually.
Aston, Ferrari, all of that.
I know. And you
Bless
see...
it.
I know, bless it. When that thing goes out of production, we are going to be properly sad.
Right, the news, and we thought this week we'd look at what to look forward to next year.
Yes.
Because although we're losing the Esprit, there's quite a lot of supercars to get excited about.
Quite a lot's an understatement. It's about 500,000 of them.
Best supercar coming next year has got to beat this, the Porsche Carrera GT.
Oh,
absolutely glorious. V10 engine, again, £250,000, but just look at it.
That's just so beautiful. That's the most beautiful car.
Yeah, that's a very...
I've seen in a very, 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 very long time.
And the new Viper, which is the American equivalent of a sports car.
Yeah.
In the same way, I guess, that George Bush is the equivalent of a president.
Yeah, exactly. There it is, 8.3 litres, 500 horsepower, and that's not enough. Because there's a new Bugatti coming out next year, which has got 1,000 horsepower. It's called the Variant. It has how do you get 1,000 horsepower into a car? You have to open the glove box, there'll be 40 horses in it. There's 36 in the ashtray, a couple under the... Nay! Dobbins under the seat. Look at it. 1,000 horsepower.
That is an astonishing amount of power.
You'll go from naught to the grave in 4 seconds.
Immediately.
I'm dead. I accelerated.
Straight up a tree.
Dead.
Marginally closer to the real world is the McLaren Mercedes SLR. Only marginally. Now, I know it does look a bit like an SL, in fact, quite a lot like an SL from some angles, but it's an entirely different car, made largely from carbon fibre, so it will be light, got a supercharged V8, so it will be quick as well. And it could be yours next year for £250,000.
Koenigsegg, yeah?
Bless you.
Bit like the SLR V8 supercharged, but this one's got more power. This one's got 655 brake horsepower, and they reckon it's the fastest car in the world. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, 240 miles an hour top speed.
240?
Where are you going to do that?
And it's Swedish.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it in Sweden.
Slick.
To do it, there's always... You do it here. Do it on the M1 or M40.
The M50's quite empty a lot of the time. You get 240.
M32's good.
M27. Anyone else got any more ideas? M5. You can't go... Don't be stupid. You can't go 240 on the M5.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
The M59, though.
Where are we going now? Oh, I know. Ascari. Yet another supercar. We've actually got it in the studio. This is the first one, OK? It's made in Banbury by a company called Ascari, which stands for Anglo-Scottish Car Industries. Didn't know Banbury was Anglo-Scottish, but there we are. It's got a 5-litre V8 engine, but they've asked me not to say where it's from.
Secret.
It's a secret.
OK, fair enough.
BMW X5 we had in the studio earlier.
Nice engines.
Yeah, nice engines. Very nice. Anyway, what can we say about it? Well, the problem is, of course, there's a lot of British companies come along and set themselves up, you know, hoping to make these low-volume sports cars. There was Lee Francis, there was Jensen, Marcos, Strathcarron, and...
They've all gone out of business. All of them.
So we wish Ascari the best of British. No, not the best of British. Sorry, wish them the best of luck. Fingers crossed. Yeah. But anyway, listen, if you can't afford it, you can't get any of these supercars, and there are lots of them coming, don't worry, there's quite a lot of sports car coming as well. Chrysler, for instance, is launching the £26,000 Crossfire. Here it is. Now, it's basically underneath. It's a Mercedes SLK. It was designed by a British person, and it's been built in Germany. So that's a car for America to be proud of.
And we've got a new Mazda RX-8 to look forward to.
Yep.
22,400 quid. That's seriously good value. Wankel engine, suicide back doors.
The thing about those Wankel engines, though, they used to have a big problem because it was something called the rotor tips deep inside the engine. They used to wear out much too quickly, didn't they? So I think they're going to replace them and
Now they've
made them
solved that. They're using the hardest substance known to man.
Diamond.
No, harder than diamonds. I'll tell you what the hardest substance known to man is, what they're lining the rotor tips with. It's Weetabix. Bear with me on this. Weetabix that's been left in a cereal bowl and then put in the dishwasher. Have you ever tried to get it off? Nothing.
Oh, I'll buy that. That would do it.
I have put 60 tons of TNT into the bowl to get it out, blow the bowl to smithereens, still stuck to the pieces.
That would do it. No doubt about it.
So that's what they're using. It's the Mazda Weetabix.
Are there any really, like, you know, sensible cars coming next year?
Well, I've got a list, actually, of the other cars that are coming, and the answer to your question is, not really. Porsche, they've made a £50,000, 150-mile-an-hour off-roader.
Not sensible.
That's not sensible. Volkswagen, which, as we all know, means people car, they've made a £60,000 feet-on.
People's sensible.
People's car. The economy's obviously going better in Germany than we thought. Yep. Oh, there is one, actually. There is one sensible car, the Vauxhall Signum. Now, it's basically a Vectra. Oh, I'm nodding off. Oh, this I'm coming back. I'm back. We mustn't be put off by its Vectra-ness because it's not like a Zafira, which is the sort of 7-seat Astra. It only has 5 seats. But apparently the ones in the back all move about and recline and things. They're really clever, the ones in the back. It's going to be the first car ever where people will be fighting to get in the back. No, no, you drive. Really, you have the front. You drive it. I'll sit back here. Thanks very much. Tinted windows. No one will know I'm in it. Anyway, here endeth the news.
No, it doesn't, because TVR, they launch a new car about every 3 weeks, and they're all pretty much the same. This is the T350C, their latest offering, and without even looking, I know what I'm going to get. There'll be a really sexy, curvy body. It'll have a glorious-sounding engine, and there'll be 2 seats. And there it is. Thing is, though, this car is going to be bought largely by track day enthusiasts. You know, the kind of people who'll thrash the bottom off it on a Saturday around the circuit and then commute in it on a Monday. So it needs to be a Jekyll and Hyde car, and that ain't easy. The new car uses TVR's proven Speed 6 engine. It's good for 350 brake horsepower and will take the T350 to 60 miles an hour in 4.4 seconds. It's a hard rather than a soft top, and that makes it stiffer. And those curves were designed with aerodynamics at the top of the priority list. All of which is good news, both on the road and the track.
But where it gets a bit tricky is the setup, the suspension, the chassis, dampers, springs, all of this kind of caper. Got to get it right.
This is a track covered in smooth, flat tarmac, so you can set the suspension up to be as hard as you like to get a quick lap.
But this is a British road, real life, the Monday to Friday road. Shoddy repairs, lumps, bumps, mud, and all garnished with ditches.
So TVR brought the car and a clutch of mechanics. We added the Stig, who chucked in his 10 penneth and helped set it up to his liking. The car doesn't even sit down when it leaves the line. And look at that, it corners dead flat. There's absolutely no body roll at all. That is very fast. And a good lap time of 1 minute 28. But in the process, he's made the car twitchy, edgy and Stig-like. Right on the limit. And it gets worse when you leave the track to drive home.
I think the Stig should stick to driving cars rather than messing about with them, because this is absolutely awful on the road. It's so uncomfortable. And not just uncomfortable, I can't steer. I really have no idea which direction we're going to go in next. It's just random. So it's back to the pits, and the Stig is told to get a grip on real life and help TVR set the 350 up so that we can all use it. And then it's back out onto the track with slightly softer settings. And straight away you can see there's more movement from the body, more body roll through the corners. And yes, the time is actually a second slower at 1 minute 29 for the lap, but that's still a very good time, and it's a lot more predictable. Out on the road, it's much better, more usable and drivable. If anything, it's faster in the real world. We'll let TVR finish the job off, but at least now they know where the limit is.
There's one thing I want to do with this car, OK? Think of a better name for it. T350C sounds like an iron.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's got a plug on it.
Is an appliance,
Yeah.
so it won't do. So whatever we come up with, even if they do call it a T350C, we're going to call it what we come up with.
That's fair.
And actually choosing a name can be quite tricky, OK? I mean, I've got a list here of some of the better ones, and these are all genuine. I promise they are genuine. There was the Mazda Bongo Friendy.
Very chic.
How about this one? The Mitsubishi Mini Active Urban Sandal.
How big was the badge?
Or this is the best of the lot. The Isuzu Mysterious Utility Wizard. It's a superb name.
What is that?
And it's not just the Japanese either. Back in the 80s, Volkswagen launched a version of their Mark I Golf convertible, pink, white leather, OK? And they called it the Fancy Boy.
Genius. We didn't get that one in the UK, did we?
No, the UK importers said, no thanks.
Yeah, funny that.
Exactly. Now, TVR in the past have been very good at names. They had the Cerbera, which was, it's a sort of dog. It's a dog thing. And then they had Chimera, which was a she-goat. And Tuscan, which was the supreme god of everything. And now they've come up with the microwave. So we've got to do better than that. And I've got a perfect idea. Ready? The Widowmaker.
Oh, absolutely. You can't call a car Widowmaker. That's awful.
Can? I just have. It's the TVR Widowmaker. They called the Starfighter jet in the 60s. That was a Widowmaker. Pilots queued up to fly it, killed themselves, and then another one took their seat. Everyone wanted to fly it.
You can't... But I know where you're going, though. It needs to be that sort of forceful, like, TVR Armageddon or...
Well, Armageddon. Anyone else got any ideas?
Poseidon.
Poseidon.
Quite like that.
Quite like Poseidon. What's it the god of?
The sea.
The sea. Pertinent. Anyone else got any? What?
Thor. I like Thor.
Yeah, TVR Thor.
It's got a bit of oomph to it. That's very, very poor.
The wizard. No, it's a wizard. I don't quite like the TVR Harry Potter. There's something about it. It's like the TVR Famous Five. But the TVR Beatrix Potter. Peter the Rabbit. We could go on forever, you
I think
idiot.
you're missing the point.
It's the Paddington Bear.
Oh,
that's
perfect.
But I think, if I'm not allowed to call it Widowmaker, how about the TVR Valhalla?
Yeah, wasn't that where the
What do you mean,
Vikings...
yeah? That's, in fact, I've decided. It's the end of the discussion.
It's like Cornwall all over again.
It is. It's like the cool wall. I've decided. We've heard some great names, but this is, whatever TVR call it, the Valhalla. The end. That's it.
That's where the Vikings hung out, when they were dead, isn't it?
Yeah, dead Viking burial ground.
TVR.
Perfect.
Well, there's no point in arguing, fair enough.
We've sorted it.
That's a relief. Anyway, now's the time, the second coming of our fastest faiths, and we're going to find out whether any of our chaps here were quicker than the Church of England.
As with our previous Fastest Faith shootout, the race will be run in a 340 brake horsepower Subaru rally car. So, would the Church of England remain the kings of the track? First to go, Tarek, the Muslim. Tarek was doing really well. But then the Druid summoned up the ancient gods of oversteer.
just one spin.
You do score extra for donuts, don't you?
But Tarek overcame the wizardry to finish the lap.
4 tyres screeching. You never know. It is a difficult breaking point over there, though. I've got to say, that is, you get such a long view of it.
There's no mark there for you to break
exactly.
Next up, Arthur Pendragon, member of the ancient and modern Druid Order, priest of Merlin and the Horn God, battle chieftain, high priest of the Dragon Coven, and a Morris Oxford driver.
My Peugeot 1.9D doesn't sound like that, I can tell you.
No, let's hope not.
It's not the 60 in 10 minutes.
With the Celtic spirits rooting for him, the Druid turned in a tidy lap.
How do you get around there so quick? That's magic.
Gary, the Seventh-day Adventist, was next. But yet again, the Druid had struck, this time casting a spell that shrank the car.
It's not good. Any suggestions?
Nick, why don't you sit in with me and come round with me and we'll do it together?
Oh, like kind of a co-driver thing?
Multi-fight.
I'm too, well, let me just put it this way. Yeah, I'm too manly, thank you. I'm too big for the car.
That left a Levi, the Rastafarian, who called on the spirit of Jah.
Yes, Jah Almighty, bless the carriage.
And by now, the Druid was out of spells. And at last, a proper rival to the current champion from the Church of England. Because, like him, a Levi's an amateur weekend racer. And it showed.
Superstars, one and all, and what a complete tragedy.
Yeah, the car was too small.
I know the feeling, mate.
Yeah.
All cars are too small, aren't they?
I don't know that feeling. It's not one I suffer from. Why do I have to stand here?
Let's do the results.
Right, here we go, in reverse order, as is traditional. In 4th place, that'll be you, Gary, because you couldn't get in the car.
Scored a time of, so far, about 4 hours.
Going well.
Not to worry.
3rd place, King Arthur, kind of predictably, really, with a time of 1 minute 48.
In 2nd place, Tarek, with a very good time, 1 minute 41. Thank you.
Now, the big question is, we know at this point that the Rastafarian, a Levi Doctrove, has won, but the big question is, have you beaten the Church of England? Now, when they came here, they went round in 1 minute 37 seconds, faster than all you lot. You went round in 1 minute 31 seconds. That was fantastic. That is only, well, it's less than 2 seconds off the pace set by the Stig. That's an unbelievable performance. Jason, bring in the trophy. There you are, the fastest race.
Thank you, man.
Well, actually, it's the fastest faith for now, unless we can find a smaller Seventh-day Adventist or a bigger car. Anyway, every week we put a star in a reasonably priced car, OK? We've done that throughout the series, and they've been a mixed bag. Ladies and gentlemen, Harry Enfield.
I don't die. Ready, steady, go. Oh, it went skid. Up on the 30 miles an hour. Hey, I lost control of that.
Jamiroquai frontman, JK!
Don't be punished. Don't be tempted to put too much power on. That's beautiful.
Ross Camp.
Rubbish.
I hate you.
I hate you so much, Clark, and I'm going to get you back at some point.
Jonathan Ross! But look at that magnificent turn.
He wasn't.
In this bit, I think I have to turn over the edge.
You look ridiculous!
I look like a Star Trek flag. You're lucky I'm still alive.
Do you think I care?
No, but you're lucky.
Who'd like to see some of the practices that he had?
Here we go. I thought it might be faster.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Coogan! There's a
Glad to clean my teeth.
There's a gradual build-up of terror by the looks of things. Start with mild panic. Well, that's quite neat.
I drive a Lexus.
53. Ross Kemp's going to be so angry about that.
Ross Kemp.
Sarah Palmer Tomkinson!
I'm coming up to Harvey Nickel and the shop's about to close. Okay. I mean, the last thing you want, sexy man on the street, wait to him. The left.
Don't crash, but when I park, I think that the bumpers are there, so you go bump, 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 in.
From Status Quo, Rick Parfest. Oh, no, beautiful. Oh, no, there's more. Probably broke wind. Back on. Across the line sideways. Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Michael Gambon. You do look quite scared. Tyres! Oh! You were very close to the tyres there.
You're supposed to be.
Yeah, no, well, it was beautifully. Actually, you're off the... You hit... Gordon Ramsay!
Nothing happened for the saw, just saw a traffic warning.
That taste of petrol. And that was done on the Subaru Forester, a flat 4 engine. It's a very good base. Now, a mixture of poise, precision, and Harry Enfield there. But now it's time to award the prize to the fastest celebrity in the whole series, and it was, if we look on this board, JK with a time of 1:48, and he's here, everybody! Well done. I know it is.
What can I say?
I should apologise for the end that's come off
the
there.
BBC has really pushed the boat out.
Slightly broke. Would you like to make a speech? A little Tom Hanks style acceptance speech would be good. No, it's okay.
I'd just like to say to everybody that it's one of the greatest days of my life to get this award, and you know, I mean, no Brit Award or Grammy could come close to it. And I just want to thank Jeremy, the BBC, God, Mum, everybody. Thank you.
Fantastic. Wait.
Hit the road again next week at the same time. Get right inside Tinseltown next on BBC Prime with a lowdown on Hollywood.